What's up, guys? Today's a little bit obviously kind of wiggy, like, getting in the new rhythm with the new game and everything like that. So if Preston's here and can hear me, like, I'll have to schedule another time for Punch Out. I just totally got caught up in this coding project of like trying to visually represent like one of my poems kind of thing. Yo, Biggs, what's up, man? I'm back too, my friend. Back in black even. Whew, what a good little gym day. Just pump that mile out. I was like kind of hesitating to do it at first. I was like kind of like, oh, should I run a mile or should I kind of take it easier, for today because it's Saturday or whatever. I just pumped it out. And then those 20 minutes, you have some rice with sugar and homemade biscuits. Nice. I love rice with sugar. I like milk with rice and sugar. That's like one of my favorite treats. I can eat like so much of that. Rice with sugar and milk. I think it's better than like any cereal. Yeah, that's the bomb, man. But it's kind of been, my routine's kind of been a little off, I feel like, since I beat Elden Ring. So just got to make sure just to get in this new one and just like, just stick with the time schedule more than anything. Make sure that I'm online and talking and, broadcasting more than anything. So yeah. But with that, like that one thing, I was like trying to think of something I could say about everything, you know what I mean? And I think that point where it's just like everything comes back around or everything has a loophole to it, you know what I mean? It's the rule and the exception at the same time because it's like this point is everywhere. So I was trying to express that, everything has a loophole, everything has an exception, and this is the rule of the exception. So this thing has a rule, which means that it exists everywhere. That point does. And so I tried to express that with like obviously basic graphing. So I like how that works is it was like graphing all those lines that I told it to. And then I could speed up the speed at which it graphed them, which basically creates what's called like a wave function. And then you're basically adjusting like the amplitude and the frequency, I guess, is what it's also called. You're adjusting like that things. I guess I set the amplitude at like phi and then you can adjust the frequency. It's all physics. It's like stuff that I took in physics, like, I don't even know, like 15 years ago in school or something. I know, Presley. I totally forgot, man. I saw you in the chat and I immediately remembered. I was like, oh, I said I was gonna do Punch Out at 2. I can go home and do it tonight if you're okay with that. Like after this coffee stream, I'll go home and I can play that right away if you want me to. If you're okay. If you're okay with that. But I totally was like, I saw you in the stream at the gym and I was like, oh yeah, I said at 2 I was gonna do Punch Out. But No problem. That's cool. Yeah, I'll just go home right after this coffee stream, and I'll play it. If that works for you. We can see how far I can get. I don't think I can get past like the Russian guy, Popinski. That guy gets me every time. No plans tonight. All right, yeah, I'll go play it right after this. We'll go get on some Punch Out. But yeah, I think what's his name, like Soda Popinski. It's like the guy from Russia. I don't know if I can get past that guy. He gets me every time. He does like really weird leg moves, and then he'll just like punch you out of nowhere. I can never time it right. I'm much more of a timing fighter than I am like a reactionary fighter. Like, I feel like to fight the guys later on, it's like you have to be able to react at like lightning speed when they move towards you, you know? But I was always much more of like, okay, I can remember their moves and like I can predict what they're gonna do. So for me, it was just timing. But we'll see how far I can get. And then, yeah, timing is key, yeah. I don't know, maybe like with Mike Tyson or Mr. Dream, like, because I think there's Mr. Dream and then there's Mike Tyson, right? So it's like, I can't even get to Mr. Dream, let alone Mike Tyson. I did beat him one time on stream, but I was using a Game Genie or whatever, right? So I like hacked the game and like made it so that he would like go down in like 2 hits or something like that. It like glitches the game way bad, but I was able to beat him with that. But yeah, the thing that I was most proud of was that like as a kid, I just learned how to get as far as I could, like on my own, you know? Like the guy who's like the tiger guy, like the guy from India. He does like these blinking attacks, and I figured out that you just block all those. Or like the guy King Hippo, who you have to like punch in the mouth or whatever, or punch in the gut, and then he falls down in like one KO. I like found out you have to like punch him right in the mouth when he does that, like stuff like that. I found out kind of just playing over the years. I really beat him, guys. Yeah, it sounds like something I'd do. I used to play StarCraft all the time, and I'd call my friends and like want them to play. I was such a big nerd. But I didn't want to like fall into the nerd category, so I always like tried my best at sports, you know. I hated the idea of being called a nerd. So I was just like, I better like do my best. Sports always like kind of scared me at the same time, while it was like motivated me, you know what I mean? It motivated me to like try to get out and try to be something that was like experienced in other things and stuff like that. But yeah. You always played sports? Yeah. Me too. My parents put me in sports, like maybe it was just to like babysit me, you know? They just would put me in sports. Little League Baseball. Mortal Kombat 2 came out. You wanna know what I played on the Super NES? I didn't play Mortal Kombat on the Super NES. I played Killer Instinct. My mom actually got me, I remember getting that game for my birthday. What a mom, right? A power hitter, nice. Yeah, I would steal bases like a maniac, because I could run pretty quick, so I would steal all the time. My coaches they'd have like a plan for me to steal all the way home. But yeah, I played Killer Instinct. The only time I really played Mortal Kombat was when I got older and it was on like the Xbox and stuff. And then I had some friends who had Mortal Kombat. I actually like a year ago played Mortal Kombat on like the N64 emulator on my computer. So, but yeah, Killer Instinct is what I had. I still have it. We still have the games and the Super NES and everything. What were the chances I'd make it home? Almost, if I got on base, I almost made it home every time. It was like 90%. Like my coaches, they would just send me. I would just be watching them, and they would just start going, go, go, go. Destroy the ball. I can't now. I wasn't necessarily a power hitter. I would just try to get on base. I couldn't necessarily smash it. I could throw the ball pretty far. And I hated infield. I hated infield so much. I hated like the idea of a ball coming off a bat and just hitting me in the face or the nuts. Baseball was always that one sport where you had to wear the cup, you know what I mean? So the ball doesn't come up and smack you in the nuts or whatever. I played shortstop for a while, but I didn't like it. Yeah. I didn't like shortstop. I was like, geez, the ball comes over here way too much. And if the ball's coming this way, it's like guaranteed to be like a one that's gonna like smack you. And every coach is like, run to the ball, charge it. Everything they'd like to say is charge the ball. Charge the ball. Bro, I'm trying to not get smacked by this thing, dude. Like, I don't want to get hurt. Played pitcher, nice. I wanted to play pitcher, but I never really did. I played outfield, I played left field. And they just stuck me in outfield. Like, I could throw the ball in pretty good, so I guess it worked out. Because I could chuck it all the way to the, like, I didn't have to use a cutoff guy or whatever, you know? You know how the guy on like second base is supposed to like act as a cutoff, or the shortstop is supposed to act as a cutoff man or whatever. I didn't have to use that. But yeah, I wanted to play pitcher. I got like a book. My dad got me a book on like how to pitch and all this stuff. And like I practiced a lot, but I never really played pitcher. It's obviously like the most coveted, you know what I mean? Like the pitcher's like the star, just like the quarterback of football or whatever. So yeah, pitcher was like the coveted position. The one talent that I did take away from baseball though is being able to spit seeds. Like, give me like a handful of seeds and I can crack those bad boys open with my teeth, no problem. And it's like, this is actually a skill, like being able to put like a mouthful of those in and like crack them all on one side and then put the shells in the other side and like eat the seeds or store all the seeds, you know? I learned how to do that playing baseball because there was usually always one kid that had seeds. And I feel like that's the first time that I kind of liked a weird flavor in my whole life, you know? Like I felt, were any of you like when you were a kid, like really picky with your food? I was super picky, but when I played baseball, I think it was like the one time I kind of ventured out of my picky zone because like, I remember one time a kid, his name was like Dylan Hussein. He had like dill pickle spits, like dill pickle spits seeds. And I thought they were like the coolest thing ever. They had to special order your uniform, dang. Oh yeah, you are huge, aren't you? I remember now. Yeah, I was in Boy Scouts too. Had like a fishing merit badge, a survivor merit badge, a shelter making merit badge. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think my parents just put me in all this stuff to like so I was like babysit, you know, babysat by other people or whatever. But I used to go on campouts and like go on hikes, and we'd have to like do a swimming test or whatever. I hated the swimming test. I can tell you the one thing about Scouts that I hated the most was the swimming things, the swimming merit badges, because it was always in like a lake in the mountains. And I was like, I had no fat on my body. And I can tell you, it does make a difference to be like bigger, because right now I am kind of bigger. And so if I've been like swimming in lakes and I'm like, this actually feels good. You know what I mean? But I had like no fat on my body and I would freeze to death. I hated it. Like jumping in, it was like a shock. So I never did the swimming merit badges because I was like, make a fire using the sun. No, I mean, you know how to do that. It's just like You use a magnifying glass and you focus it on tinder. You can do that. I can do it. You have to have a magnifying glass though, and you adjust like the way you tilt it and like how far away you hold it. But you have to have really fine tinder like cotton, and then you focus this little tiny point of the light on like cotton, and then it starts a fire. Yeah, I can do that. We didn't learn how to start it with like sticks and stuff though. It's like nobody did that. You just had to learn how to start it with matches. Like you didn't have to learn how to start it with like a stick. Most of what Boy Scouts was like memorizing stuff about God and like scriptures and stuff like that. We had to like memorize scriptures and like memorize Boy Scout mottos and like do service projects all the time. It was like stuff like that kind of too. The camps were kind of crazy. Like one time I went on a week-long camp, you know what I mean? Just like up in the mountains at like some lodge. I was just up there for a week as like a 12-year-old kid or something like that. Doing stuff with like memorizing the different kinds of clouds, doing like a merit badge for like whittling a stick, doing some other merit badge on how to like use a map and a compass, doing some other merit badge about like boating or canoeing or hiking or, you know what I mean, stuff like that, fishing, archery merit badge, shooting a gun merit badge. Hershey's chocolate in it, nice. That sounds good. I like the when I used to brew coffee at my house all the time. I really liked the Coffee Mate, like hazelnut creamer and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You just buy them at the store, like hazelnut creamer and caramel creamer and like all those creamers, and then maybe some like Baileys, right? Put a shot of Baileys in there too. Yeah, the part I hated about Boy Scouts was like, you had to memorize like this stuff like on my honor, to do service to my God, to God and my country, like and like stuff like that, and you had to sit there and like pass off like, it was like a lot of stuff to memorize too. Just a cappuccino again, just the same thing I always get, a cappuccino. Yo, thank you for the like. But yeah, just. You know, that part of Scouts was annoying. Just like, on my honor, I promise to serve and do my duty to God and my country. It's almost like military stuff, kind of. And you had to like stand in attention and like wear all your like Scout uniform with like all your badges. And somebody would come and like, they'd have like a ceremony where like somebody would come and like say like, today we're honoring Austin for like acquiring his arrow of light. And like he passed off this and this and did this and this, and we find him fit and worthy to move on to becoming a life scout, or like a Weeblo, or like an eagle or whatever, you know. And you'd have to dress up and all this stuff, and they'd have a ceremony where they raise the flag, and like somebody plays it was like the military. Somebody plays like the trumpet. Somebody plays the trumpet, and then they raise the flag up. They like play the national anthem, and you have to sit there and like salute the flag while it like goes up, and then somebody comes and talks, and you all stand in attention and sit down. It's weird. It's like weird, like military, man. It totally is. It's like military, but just for little kids. Completely. But yeah, you like do all that. You do all that kind of stuff, like boot camp kind of stuff. Like I said, they make you swim in cold water, and like you can get like an exercise merit badge and all this other stuff. But that's what Scouts is like. Usually it's involved with like church as well. Usually churches involve themselves with Scouts also, so. But what else was something from like that I remember that was crazy? I remember sleepovers being such a big deal. Yo, thank you for all the likes, guys. Much appreciation. Yeah, Presley's still here. I'll end this stream pretty soon. My coffee's almost gone. And then we'll go immediately and just play some Punch Out, so. Oh, I can tell you guys something else I did as well. I did Taekwondo. That's like another interesting thing. So yeah, I did wrestling, baseball, basketball. These are all like junior kid stuff. Oh, you're fine, man. No, you're totally fine. You're interacting. I think that's better for the stream than anything, you know. I can tell you guys something else that's like interesting I did. I did Taekwondo. So like I had to go to a dojo and my sensei's name was Arnie. And like I went to a tournament once. A Taekwondo tournament. And like so I had to go and do this like art form. It was like me, there was like a big arena and there was like tons of different Taekwondo things. And it was like, I got selected because I guess he thought I did good enough. Like I took it seriously, you know what I mean? Like, oh, this is Taekwondo. I'm like a little kid. I'm like 8 years old or something like that, right? You know what I mean? I'm like still innocent about everything and like think that I can like achieve the world. Everybody's telling me like, oh yeah, you can do anything in this life you want to do. You can be anything you want to be or whatever, you know what I mean? Like whatever, right? So I'm like totally in it. And I go to this Taekwondo tournament and like I had to memorize all these moves and just do this like art form like out in the middle of these mats. I've been to a jazz game a lot. I've been to a bunch of jazz games. When I was growing up, I used to have jerseys of John Stockton and Karl Malone. Stockton to Malone. That's what they'd always say. Here it goes, Stockton to Malone. Or here comes the mailman, because they'd call Karl Malone the mailman or whatever. Here comes the mailman, another delivery coming up. Whatever, yeah, that's when I was like a real little kid and like would think, oh, these guys are the coolest. But yeah, I remember Michael Jordan kicking their butt every time in Utah. When I was a little kid, dude, that got everybody so pumped up. Everybody in the whole state. I didn't see Jordan live, I don't think, no. I saw him on TV. One time I tried to get John Stockton's autograph though, and he said no. My dad and me, like after the game, went down to the floor and we had like a ball and we were like, can John Stockton sign this? And he said no. So I always thought he was like a rude guy after that. And then eventually my dad got a signature from Mark Eaton, but it wasn't John Stockton or Jordan or anything like that. But the whole state went crazy when Utah was in the finals with the Bulls. And the Bulls, every time, man, stopped the Jazz. Jordan, bro, he stopped them right in their tracks. Every time. But the state was like crazy every time that they went to the playoffs, man. It was like all of a sudden you were in a different place. Like everybody was all hyped up. Everybody was like all about, what do you think's gonna happen in the game? I'm watching the game, blah, 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 about the game. You know, and you're just a little kid and you're like, wow, this is the coolest thing ever. Are they gonna win the championship? You hear the word championship and it's like you are the victor of the world. You've like done it. You've done it, man. You've accomplished like everything you can. You're the champion. It's like, oh, these guys are the champs. But Jordan stopped him every time. Jordan, bro. Oh yeah, the stadium was packed every time, yeah. Definitely packed. But if you played in like Little League, see, I played in like Little League basketball, which is like, they called it junior jazz. And you like had jazz jerseys. Like at the end of the season every year, they'd take you to a game. But you would sit up in like the nosebleed sections or whatever, but the little kids got in for free, like the team that you were on or whatever. So I went with like my team one year and we were just up in the nosebleeds. And I was thought like, why does everybody call it the nosebleeds? Like, is your nose bleed? And that's like at the same point in time, I'll tell you something else funny about like sports is like, that's the same point in time I go to like the games and everyone's like, check out the cheerleaders, like through the binoculars or whatever. Hey, you're not just checking out the cheerleaders, are you? There's like some real bro jokes for you, like for little kids. You're like up in the nosebleed section and somebody brought binoculars. Nobody knows what you're looking at, and the stupid joke is always like, yeah, you're not just checking out the cheerleaders, are you? That is the dumbest joke ever, but that's like the first time like everybody started like filling my head with like sexual stuff. You're not checking out the cheerleaders, are you, man? Yeah, it's just old memories, man. Super cold in Utah, like during the championship every time, it's just freezing cold, like dead of winter, you know? I also think Utah's known as being the loudest stadium. I'm pretty sure. Isn't the Jazz Stadium known as being the loudest stadium, or at least it was? Back in my day, it was known as being like the loudest stadium out of the whole league, the whole conference. I've seen LeBron play. I like went and sat down in like fourth row seats when LeBron was playing. Like my brother and me, one time we just like got to the game and we just walked down to the front when like no one was looking, and we just sat there like the whole game. So we were like 4 seats away from him, and he like did the whole thing where he like throws up the dust or whatever, you know what I mean? We just like walked down there. We're just like kids, you know what I mean? We just like, I think I must have been like 17 or 18. And I was like, come on, bro. And we just like walked down to the front and sat down there. And like it filled in around us, and eventually nobody took our seat. Nobody came and said like, you're in our seats. So we just stayed in like on the front row the whole game. But yeah, those are all good times though. Like easier times when the world seemed to make more sense, you know what I mean? It wasn't so difficult, and like it was difficult in its own ways. Like school was challenging still, like friends were challenging, trying to be perfect is challenging. In Utah, everyone's trying to be perfect, by the way. But you know, peer pressure and all this stuff. I don't know, maybe life's just hard, man. Maybe, you know. But yeah, there's some of my childhood. Stockton to Malone. My dad would watch every game. He still does. He's a huge sports fanatic. My granddad actually got awarded by the Jazz because he did watch like every game. And so they gave him like a celebratory like box seat or whatever when he was like 100 years old. He could like go at any time to any game and like sit in a box seat because he was like they like awarded him like an award of being like the ultimate Jazz fan or something like that. He watched every game. My great granddad. He lived to be like 105 before he died. Everybody was always like, he's never gonna die, like. But it started getting sad because when you'd like see him, when he was like 100, like 102 years old, he was like, I'm ready to go. He's like, I'm just waiting to go. But it still took him like 3 more years before he finally passed away. It was crazy. He was the oldest man in Utah for a while. His name was like Clifford Frisbee or something. But the Jazz awarded him because they were like, oh, he's like a fan, and he really did. He would get the newspaper and watch every game. Like he'd make sure that he didn't miss a game and stuff like that. But it started getting sad. Like every time you'd go and see him, he'd be like, hey, how's the Jazz doing? You know, he would like talk about the Jazz, but he would just forget about what he's talking about like mid-sentence, you know what I mean? He'd ask you a bunch like, how's the Jazz doing? And you just say like, good. Yeah, I saw the game. The Jazz are doing good. Kind of sad, but that's life, man. It's like sad and happy at the same time. It's like where happiness comes from, you know? He was like a really humble guy too. He just worked as like a janitor his whole life. or whatever. He like worked as like a teller at like a grocery store and like a janitor like his whole life. It would be like 105. Just took it easy, I guess. Took the long road. But anyways, I'm gonna go, and Presley wants me to play some Punch Out, so I'm gonna go, and I promised him I would. You know, it's free to do. I just got to go and play it. So I'm gonna go. My coffee's gone. Talked about some fun, cool stuff, childhood memories, great stuff. I'll see you guys at the Punch Out stream, all right? With the title bout. See you there. Boom.